Welcome back to another week where even more Fallout leaks are dropping before GTA 6. And we do have one that's pretty interesting. If you guys are new here or not, we've decided that we're going to cover the most intriguing gaming news of the week and just give our opinions on it every week. We have some cool ideas for the show, including getting some of you guys to actually join us on the show and then give your own opinions. If that's something you're interested in, then make sure you sub and comment on this video that you're interested. There are some kinks we got to work out for it, but we thought it would be pretty cool. We want to give you guys in the community a voice. Also, if you guys want to see someone else jump into the show with us, let us know and we'll reach out, like other YouTubers or whatever. Obviously, we don't have that major clout pull yet, but we'll try our best. I'm here with Paris.
Hey guys.
All right, I want to jump into our first topic, which is going to be Assassin's Creed Shadows, of course. Everyone's been talking about it. So it dropped about a few days ago, and it's already pulled in over 2 million players. And yeah, that's players, not sales, but it's still a pretty massive win for them. According to a statement from Ubisoft, this makes this the fastest growing Assassin's Creed title of the modern era. It's already outpaced both Origins and Odyssey at launch, which is pretty insane. Ubisoft wrote in their update, Assassin's Creed Shadows welcomed over 1 million players on its first day and crossed 2 million within 48 hours. On Steam on the launch weekend, Shadows peaked at nearly 59,000 concurrent players. It's not like a massive number when you compare it to other games like Baldur's Gate or even Dragon Age Veilguard have more. But I believe it is the biggest AC launch on Steam, which is saying something, you know, with Valhalla being the second, but I'm not too sure. And that's pretty much where we're at. Obviously, there's a ton of controversy around it. We can kind of get into that a little bit. What do you think, Paris? What do you think about those sales and what that means for Ubisoft?
Okay, so I'm not a huge glazer of Assassin's Creed. I think it's a great game. It's one of the first RPGs that really caught my attention in my youth. So everyone's got some nostalgia with it. But having said that, I think these are impressive numbers because if you recall, Valhalla came out in, 2020? Like peak COVID when everybody was in their home playing video games. So when you take that into consideration, it's pretty profound that this one's doing as well as it is, but I think it's the premise. Like, in my opinion, Valhalla or the Wintry Realm has been done 1 million times. You see it in God of War, you see it in Skyrim. I think people were cool with it, right? Obviously, it was a great game.
Right.
I mean, that's subjective, but
it was okay. I think a lot of people think
okay.
I think a lot of people see it as boring, maybe, but a lot of AC fans, diehards, I think they liked it. Anyways.
Yeah. It was a little too big for my taste, right? Like it was just a lot to go through, so I never finished it. But the premise of Shadows is badass. Like the setting is what I think sells most people. What about you? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I would agree that I think Vikings were definitely, like you said, they were in at the time, right? Or a lot of things were Vikings. Like the shows, the God of War, Vikings mythology specifically was going hard at the time. And then Valhalla comes out, and yeah, I think there was a bit of a burnout of that specific setting mythology. People were excited. I remember being one of them. You know, I actually enjoy AC games. Currently, I'm on Assassin's Creed Rogue. I'm trying to get the achievement in all of them leading up to the newest games. But what I was going to say is Valhalla, yeah, I didn't even finish Valhalla, and I usually finish them, not like 100%. I usually get through the story and see what it's like. And Valhalla, I couldn't actually get through. I think it was too big. It was too boring. There was a lot of tasks that were just basically useless. And I know a lot of people think of Assassin's Creed that way. But a lot of people have been asking for this, you know, Japanese setting for a long time. So that is definitely a huge factor into its sales. And maybe even the controversy, even though, you know, one side doesn't want it to sell well, one side does. That could have ultimately just helped the game because negativity or positivity, it doesn't matter. Whatever news is coming out about something, it's getting a lot of free marketing. So a lot of people had eyes on this game, regardless of how they felt about it. And that kind of comes down to sales. So it's looking good. I don't know if Ubisoft is saved by it. Obviously, it's outpacing basically the other Assassin's Creeds. But can one game save the entirety of Ubisoft? Probably not. Depending on how bad it is over there. No one really knows, but they were talking about getting sold off. I think that might still be in the cards for them.
Yeah, I think, this has been a conversation point for some time, right? Ubisoft definitely needs to change, or at least get a different shift in management, in my opinion, to do games well. Because Valhalla for me just felt like any other game. It was like a huge pool that was shallow deep. I kind of compare it to Harry Potter, if I'm being honest. Like, both were huge games, but not a lot of substance to them.
Yeah, true.
So I'm curious to see how, this one does, how Shadows does. And you told me that Odyssey I skipped, and I'm kicking myself for it because I just don't have the time to play it, but it looks so great, and I think Shadows will be up there with Odyssey as one of the greats.
Yeah, and Odyssey is also controversial, not in the same ways, but because a lot of people either disliked it or loved it, and I'm one of the loved. And maybe that's because I love Greek mythology. It really spoke to me personally, and I preferred that mythology. So I really enjoyed Odyssey. I also think it was just a good game. Like, outright great setting. It looked beautiful. It's not even like Valhalla looks bad or anything like that. It actually looks great. It just was kind of boring. But I'm gonna give it another run through. I know they had a DLC with the Norse gods and a situation like that. So I think it could be interesting. But yeah, I think AC Shadows, people have just been waiting for that setting, this game specifically, for a long time. Unfortunately, dropped during a turmoil point in gaming culture, I would say.
Yep.
So, it's hard to really understand. But to your credit, Paris, you said Valhalla also dropped during COVID times, which was also an interesting time, which I think gave it a ton of sales because people were just at home. They were buying more media than they ever had. So the fact that it's possibly outpacing Valhalla is pretty good for them, is what I would say.
Yeah, and comparing it to Baldur's Gate is almost not fair because that game, again, that's another game I would love to play, and I probably will here in the next month or so. Again, I've just heard how profound it is, and it's such a huge game. So for Shadows to do as good as it's doing, kudos to them. I still think, in fact, I think this is a bigger catalyst for Ubisoft to sell, because that's going to look more appealing to the next buyer.
Yeah, true. And they'll want this IP. I mean, that'll be the biggest IP if it's bought, and most likely it's probably bought by Tencent, in my opinion. It's not going to be Microsoft again. I don't even think anyone would allow them to. I think it's on the right track. It's on the right track to do a lot of sales, to do well. But if that helps Ubisoft, it probably will slightly, but not much. And I think people are hoping for that, and other people are not. It's kind of interesting. Like, I'd love to hear your guys' take about, like, a lot of people don't like Ubisoft. Like, maybe they do want the franchise to be sold off because they think it might be in better hands. That is, a take that someone might have. I don't love, consolidation per se. I think it can work in specific times, but it's interesting, in my opinion.
I could go on about this. Like, honestly, Ubisoft has not done what I would hope it does. Like, I don't know if you ever played like Watch Dogs, but that was a game that let me down. I've been let down a lot by this publisher, I'll say that. But yeah, it's also, in its initial heydays, it was great.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know.
What was your take on Elon Musk's tweet today?
That one was awesome. I don't care who you are. The roast that Assassin's Creed delivered on Elon. I'll show you guys a picture right here if you didn't see it. But I'm sure you have, because the likes on this tweet are, tweet, whatever it is called on X, a post, is insane. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen one that big. I might have, but that is crazy.
I mean, I've seen political tweets go off, and I guess it kind of is because Elon Musk is in this political realm right now, so maybe that's why it popped. But just the ratio was like 600,000 or something like that, close to it.
Yeah, and they ratioed the other guy, the Grums guy, too, in that same tweet. It said something about our game's out, which I know Grums has a game or something, and he just hasn't actually put it out yet. He's been promising people. So they roasted him too.
No, I didn't
Basically,
see that.
a double murder, man. It was over. And I've seen some guy in X, I saw him go and he purchased Assassin's Creed, and he's like, I had to after that. And so I respect it. Whoever the intern is running the marketing on their X account, you're killing it. I hope they give you a raise and promote you, because that was pretty awesome.
Has to be a Gen Zer. Gotta love them. Love those interns.
Let's move on to what everyone probably came to this video for, I'm sure, because that's what we do on this channel is Fallout. There's more Fallout leaks, because there's always more Fallout leaks. Just like how a new expansion of No Man's Sky came out today, of course, more Fallout leaks will come out. So we have a few new pictures that have leaked from the Fallout set, and they're pretty spoilery, so fair warning right now. You might want to skip ahead to a new topic if you don't want any spoilers for Season 2, because they're pretty rough. I'll give you a second for that. Okay, first we have a picture of Walton Goggins dressed up as the Ghoul. He's back again. He's looking good. There's not much more to say about it. It's just we knew the Ghoul was going to be back in Season 2. And then we have a second picture here that's probably the most interesting. And then while recording this, we actually had a video come out of the same thing. But it's just like an animatronic or a person in a suit of a Deathclaw standing by a guy in power armor. And the power armor is not just power armor. It looks like it's NCR power armor. And it might be of the T45 series, but I'm not too sure on that. So you guys will have to give me your theories. I did read that, yes, the Deathclaw looks kind of weird. It looks kind of jank, but I'm assuming that this is probably just a placeholder. Like someone's acting out whatever needs to be done with the Deathclaw to kind of like let the actor know where they should be, where they should move, things like that. That's a theory. I don't know. It could like be the actual, they could have a practical effect and maybe it looks better, you know, in that setting, but we don't know yet. And then we have a few more videos of the set that we've already seen and kind of with the strip, the Lucky 38. Even Juicehead went down there in person and literally filmed his own clip, which is true dedication. And other than that, I think, oh, and then another one came out while also doing this video of a freaking, it's the welcome to the strip sign. And then it's two guys in NCR armor, like fully decked out. Now this one's not like super confirmed. It could be two dudes who literally dressed up and went to the set and took the picture. So
like Comic-Con?
take that with a huge grain of salt. But if they are real, and the suits look really good, like these look like NCR gear. If this is real, then that also confirms that the NCR is still around in New Vegas, which has a lot of like repercussions for the ending of New Vegas, at least the game. And that's all we got so far. What are your thoughts, Paris?
I think the follow through with the end of Season 1, where it kind of showed that Deathclaw, you know, in the dust and in the sand, you saw like that the skull and bones of it. For us to kind of have I guess a sneak peek of that, I'm grateful for it. We all knew it was coming, or at least we hoped, but to me the writing was on the wall, and it's just an iconic character in the game. They were a bitch, you know what I mean, to kill at first, and then you kind of get used to the game and they end up becoming easier. But it's just like it's just kind of like seeing the super mutants, right? They're hard at first and they become just part of the natural lore, and they show up more often in the game. So I think it's really cool that we get to see an antagonist like the Deathclaw make an early appearance right now. How about yourself? Yeah,
it's interesting to like, I don't know, see what it looks good. It looks like the one from Fallout 4, by the way. If people are like used to that, that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, I'll show you guys the picture, but it's not like I mean, it's kind of janky looking, obviously, because it's a dude in a suit. But what's more interesting, even than the Deathclaw, we knew a Deathclaw was going to show up. But what's more interesting is the power armor, and that of it being NCR power armor. And it looks great, guys. It looks really good.
It looks better than the New Vegas power armor.
Yeah. Like what? Like just like regular power armor? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just in general. I mean, again, New Vegas is older. I know it's an older game, but I just think it looks really crispy.
Oh, in fact, yeah, it's also got that Fallout 4 feel.
Yeah, it does. And I know the death claw is like an animatronic, but I think it's going to bode really well. Like Fallout will not let us down in this series. I fully believe that when it comes to the TV show.
Yeah, I weirdly, I see a lot of comments on our channel basically saying they didn't like the Fallout TV show. And I actually thought it was like universally liked. So I'm surprised a lot of people aren't enjoying it. Maybe that's just, I don't know, diehards, New Vegas fans. I don't know. I thought people really enjoyed it. So I was taken aback a little or surprised by that, which is fine. Anyone can have their takes, but I actually enjoyed it a lot being a longtime Fallout fan. I thought it hit most of the aesthetics and atmosphere like pretty spot on. Yes, there were some plot inconsistencies, especially like canon inconsistencies, but I think they'll work out. As far as the NCR still being in New Vegas, this brings up a lot of questions. And I think, in my opinion, the ending they're probably going to go with is that vague, like, nobody won type of ending. It's been 15 years, so they'll be like, they could say these are NCR remnants. They could say there's Legion remnants. Like, they could basically make up a whole thing. Yeah, these two fought at the Hoover Dam, and now they're destroyed, but they're still kind of here. And then we'll never know who actually did it. That's where I think they're going with it.
And just because you lost the battle doesn't mean you lost the war. So I agree with you. There's probably fragmentation of that. But let me say this, going back to an incredible point you just made. I actually just got off the phone with a friend today who she doesn't play video games at all. And she was talking about how much she loved Fallout. And her husband is a gamer who's never played Fallout. And he was like, yeah, it was an incredible show. And my own wife, who could care less about video games to a degree, right? I mean, I'll say like she's never played Fallout herself. She just likes the news about video games and such. But it's pretty surprising about how many people it brought into the Fallout world. So for that, I'm grateful for it. And I will couple it with this. Because of the amount of revenue like Fallout's pocketing from this, I think it's more optimistic what Bethesda, or what I should say Fallout's going to look like for its next game release. I'm very optimistic about that too. So.
Yeah, I don't know why people, maybe that is it. Maybe the hardcore Fallout fans, a few of them, you know, they don't like that there's tourists or casuals kind of leaking into Fallout.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's fine. I thought the show was great. I thought it was good fan service in a good way. I'm not saying like the whole show was fan service, because it wasn't. In fact, those people would probably be happy if it was. But it was like, it solidified like a lot of good things to come in this series, and hopefully new lore. Hope they don't retread on everything and destroy everything. I'm not even saying destroy, like they're going to go to New Vegas and they're going to change the canon. I'm okay with that. A lot of people aren't going to be. But I would love to
solidify the canon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to solidify an ending, but some people, they might not like that. It's just preference. But I was going to say is I want to see them go to new areas, you know, after New Vegas. Let's see them go to Colorado. A lot of people have been kind of talking about that. We could see like Vault Zero, you know, and see that get solidified because tactics is so iffy. They need to go to these new places and make new lore for us to kind of dive into. And I think instead of retreading on lore that's already there, they can kind of get away from that and still have a great show. I hope so, at least.
Yep. You're hitting the nail on the head for me. I'm excited to see where they go next or expand in the surrounding areas. Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, you know, represent. So that'd be awesome.
Yep. Anything else you want to say on the leaks? I mean, it's pretty much the same stuff we've been seeing. It's that same set leak. And then we kind of covered, the two NCR guys, but we kind of covered that might just mean the ending's vague. We have no idea on that.
Yeah, I think what it really solidified for me is that, yes, the NCR is still there, and I'm hoping to see leaks of the Legion. So really, it's just piqued my curiosity and made me more optimistic for what's about to come in Season 2.
Oh, so you're hoping the Legion shows up.
I am. I'm hoping there's fragmentation of that. I mean, Caesar himself is one of like the best antagonists in the series, in my opinion.
True. I think it would be cool to show at least a little bit of them, right? I don't think they're going to be around. I don't think Caesar's going to be around.
Yeah, like a tribe. Show me a tribe.
Yeah. Let's see the remnants of them, because I think it would just be a cool like Easter egg almost.
Yep, agreed.
Let's just go to the next topic, which this one's interesting. I mean, it's nothing like crazy. When I read it, I wanted to talk about it because I found it super interesting that these people are coming out and saying this. But basically, the massive shadow that Grand Theft Auto 6 is already casting over the gaming industry is just getting bigger, and other developers are talking about it. And it's not even dropping until fall 2025. At least we hope it is. But according to VGC, multiple major publishers are considering delaying their games to avoid going head-to-head with Rockstar's GTA, basically, the juggernaut. One publishing exec says, quote, Rockstar games always suck a lot of money and, more importantly, time out of the market, which is a interesting quote. It's basically like saying GTA 6, it's not just about the launch. It's basically a time sinkhole. Players don't just buy it. They live in the game and they won't play other games. And then it's not just about avoiding the same week or month. A European AAA publisher is already eyeing the calendar saying, quote, if it ends up being late October, you can't release anything in November. So we either go early October or just delay into next year. And there's a few more quotes like this. It's like, it's a huge meteor that's going to land on the video games industry. We're expecting a pretty big impact. We're now planning to move some of the beats of our biggest live service games to avoid GTA 6 by a few weeks. And I think one of those was even, what is that? Battlefield, the new Battlefield. One of the developers on that was saying like, oh, we might want to like watch out for GTA 6. So what we're kind of seeing is an industry-wide retreat with devs and publishers just scrambling to avoid this gravitational pull of GTA 6. And it's kind of rare, you know, it's really rare for games to have this kind of influence on the industry. So I kind of wanted to bring that up, see your thoughts on it, and talk about it.
Well, what I would say is it reminds me of the discussion that people have. Let's focus on the time aspect. A lot of companies today are all about the user's time, right? So even someone who's creating an app or, you know, call it an iPhone, the iPhone actually views Netflix as a competitor because Netflix is taking your time away from looking at your phone. And to me, that's pretty surprising because Netflix and Apple are two different areas, right? Two different markets. And I think what we're going to see with GTA 6 is something pretty similar. I'd be surprised if even movies kind of push out when they release because of the impact GTA 6 has. It is a huge time consumer. Like I'm talking about people taking days off of work, right? Like people for sure will be doing that. So it makes sense to me that people are very cautious about releasing games in the next few weeks after. What I think would be silly though is you still want to hit, you know, Black Friday or the holiday season. So I think it's a little bit drastic to be like, we're not going to release into the next year. You still have to release something for Christmas season. So at the end of the day though, yeah, this completely wrecks hope for any other people trying to release games. It's almost like a Kanye West album. Like when that drops, a lot of people won't drop albums when he does, or similar to like a Billie Eilish, right? Like the big players actually do take your time away from other, you know, other creatives in the market.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy you brought up. Like, I really do feel like people are going to take work off, right? That's not going to be everyone's going to do that. We're going to see that. I wonder if that legitimately like affects the economy for a day. Like, I wonder if you could measure that. The people all calling in for GTA, because I think this is going to be massive. Like, it's going to be the biggest game launch of all time, easily. I don't think anyone would contest that. And I have
to agree with you.
I think they're going up against themselves with GTA 5. I'm not too sure, but I would put money that GTA 5 was probably the other biggest launch of a game. And I'm not saying it sold the most copies. Like, it's probably close to being the biggest game of all time, but I think that's still Tetris and Minecraft, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely made the most money of any game ever. I would say that for sure. Definitely the biggest revenue game. And it's kind of crazy just how like scared these other developers are of putting their games right next to it. And they're super open about it, which I find it pretty cool because they probably wouldn't be a few years ago.
Yeah. Do you know who's going to have to pivot is Call of Duty. They release a game every fall.
Oh, yeah. No,
They're going to have to.
That's Call of Duty too. That's crazy to say, Call of Duty, you got to move. Call of Duty's like the juggernaut. Other people move out of its way. But when GTA 6 rolls up, the influence is just crazy. Like, not even Call of Duty can stand in GTA 6's way.
It can't. I mean, we're seeing player count fall for current Call of Duty, so I think Call of Duty also needs to pivot and switch up, and GTA 6 has been in the works for over a decade, so they definitely have a winning formula, and if I'm Call of Duty, I'm postponing or releasing earlier. I'm changing my annual strategy for sure.
Yeah, and I guess that's just like another challenge these publishers face, basically. Now they have to decide, because we've seen a lot. What's a good example of this? Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of people think that game was, a great game. That's not my opinion of it. I think it's okay. I think it's mid in my personal opinion. It looks beautiful. You like it?
Do you play Forbidden West?
I didn't play the second one. I will say that. I haven't played the second one.
The second is amazing. The first is okay. The second's amazing. That's why I did that.
Yeah, I played the first, and a lot of people love it. But the interesting thing with Horizon Zero Dawn, I know we're just kind of rambling here, but I did have a point. Horizon Zero Dawn came out like right between, I can't even remember what it was between. Basically two huge release games that were basically, it sandwiched it, and it lost all its marketing flair, right? These other games basically sucked the air out and ate its lunch, basically. And, a lot of people blame its sales on that, even though it sold well, I think. They basically said that killed it from being maybe considered one of the greatest games ever, which is interesting to me. And the second one releases and does the same thing. I wish I knew the games that came out and basically, took the light from it. But it's a good example of these developers not wanting to place their games next to something like GTA 6 because it could legitimately end that game. Like your game could die because of a different game, which I find kind of crazy.
Unless it's a great game. And that's why, Horizon Dawn is still, people do view it as like an underdog kind of game.
Right.
Even myself. But those games will still shine, but they will still be impacted. So again, thinking about a Call of Duty, they're going to be impacted the worst. They're not going to get nearly the sales that they're expecting.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think the sales just basically, Horizon sales were 100% impacted. Anything releasing next to GTA 6 is doomed, probably.
That's a great call out, though. Yeah, Horizon's a great example.
But what's weird is if GTA 6 releases in the fall, I feel like it's going to have an entire month to itself. Like, is any publisher going to put a game even in the same month as GTA 6? That is wild to think about.
That is.
But I don't know. And who even knows if it comes out this year? We have no idea. We don't even have a second trailer. There are rumors of a trailer coming out April 1st, which I know is April Fool's, but that's actually a rumor and backed up by these GTA leakers who no one can trust the GTA leakers at this point. They don't know anything. Rockstar's too good at hiding stuff, but we still haven't not seen a second trailer for GTA 6 and it's been over a year, I'm pretty sure, which is mind-blowing.
That would be very Rockstar-y though. April 1st for another trailer.
Like, it would be.
I could see Rockstar doing that.
Yeah, I could see it too. I'm super excited about it. Are you into GTA 6?
I've been playing a lot of Red Dead lately, and I never got into GTA 5, unfortunately, which sounds, again, crazy because I love role-playing games. But because of how in-depth I got into Red Dead as of late, I think I will be playing GTA 6 and taking the week off.
Taking the week off for it, huh?
Even
though you haven't played it, huh? Oh! You have to, dude.
Not from the channel, though. Not from the channel.
Oh, of course not. We can never give up on the channel, dude.
Yeah, we gotta find all the secret places and release it to these guys, Mace.
Oh, that's a hint for this weekend. Keep your eyes out, guys. Another Constellations hidden secret video. Anyways, last thing I wanted to talk about before we end this is it's just a little bit of news, but I thought it was kind of interesting to talk about. Game Informer is actually back after its unexpected shutdown last August. The beloved magazine has made a triumphant return, bringing back its entire team and archives. So all the magazines they have done before are going to be on their website, which is pretty awesome.
Wow.
Editor-in-chief Matt Miller shared his excitement. He says, over the months since, two remarkable things happened. The first is that Game Informer as a brand and outlet was purchased and given a new lease on life. The second is that the entire team that was working together at Game Informer's closure has returned. From editorial to production and beyond. The entire team, seriously, I'm still pinching myself. Which is pretty awesome that they got the entire team to come back, which means these guys must really love their job if they wanted to just come back to this. The revival was apparently made possible by Gunzilla Games, a European game developer currently working on the Battle Royale title Off the Grid. I've personally never heard of them. I don't know if you have, Paris.
I have not.
Yeah, I would have to look more into them, but they apparently acquired them. And then they ensured its editorial independence. Miller emphasized, quote, from the start, the new owners insisted on the idea of Game Informer remaining an independent editorial outlet. They felt just as strongly as our team did that the only path forward was with an editorial group that made 100% of the decisions around what we cover and how we do so, without any influence from them or anyone else. So there's no influence. There's no something crazy going on. They're giving them their full independence, which is really cool. The website's already live again. It features both the archival content and new articles, and the team's been busy during the hiatus, publishing numerous reviews to catch up on recent releases. So they're bringing out a bunch of reviews. Awesome. And then they said, looking ahead, there are plans to revive the print magazines with new memberships and subscription benefits, which is cool. Because I don't think I've seen like a Game Informer magazine in a long time. So seeing a physical one, yeah, that would be crazy. And then the subscriptions aren't available yet, but then you can go on there and sign up on the website, which also is cool. It's free. And then you have access to all the old magazines, which I thought was really cool. So you go on there, sign up for free. You get to read all the, or at least go nostalgia yourself looking at all the magazines. Anyways, Game Informer's back.
Wow. I'm glad you shared this with me. So this was one, like an Easter egg for me when you mentioned it today, because in my youth, Game Informer is how I got all my news, right? I grew up in a time where we had dial-up and AOL, and we were just barely going past that. And because of that, like publishers, especially like game publishers, they didn't have a huge online presence, but they did have a magazine presence. And I remember hearing about Mass Effect 3 for the first time ever through Game Informer. Tons of Xbox 360 games. I would, like weekly, I would go to like my local grocery store. I wouldn't even buy the magazine. I would just sit there, right, in my prepubescent self and just read that magazine for like 15 minutes. So I don't know if you had the same experience, but I want to say they even had demos sometimes in those magazines. Does that seem...
Oh, like a demo code or like a actual disc?
I think they had discs. I hope I'm not getting it confused with anything else, but I swear they had discs way, way back in the day. Anyways, I love honestly,
yeah, I wouldn't even know because I didn't have a lot of Game Informers. I was a broke kid, you know. I couldn't afford to have these magazines show up. But like whenever I'd see one, you know, going into a game store or whatever, I always loved it. Picked it up, would like look through it, you know, because yeah, the internet was kind of new for us. So it was hard to basically find games or, you know, look cool stuff up. So this was kind of your way of doing that back in the day. So I do have nostalgia of it. And funnily enough, I still have a couple Game Informers from forever ago. I have the Assassin's Creed, I think it's Brotherhood. Funnily enough, even though we were talking about Assassin's Creed, I think I have the Brotherhood edition. And I was thinking about making a little short and putting it on the channel, just showing it off. And also, by the way, this is off topic, but I have this map of Skyrim that came with the original edition in 2011. And it's like the map is still pretty mint. So I wanted to make it short and show that off too. So if you guys want to
That would
see
be
that,
cool.
let me know. Just because these are like old things I kept forever. I just found them recently, which was pretty funny to me. But yeah, that's
cool.
my
I wanna
experience
see.
with Game Informer was like very brief. You know, I'd see it on little magazine stands and things like that. But I always loved it when I did.
Oh, dude, they did some of the best research. In fact, there's a game right now I guarantee you haven't heard of. It was called Huxley. I believe it was supposed to release in like 2006, and I heard about it through Game Informer. And you were supposed to like allegedly have over, it was ambitious, like 256 online players on Xbox 360. Okay, they were working on that right around the time they were working on Gears of War, and it was so like underground, so ridiculous. But I heard about it through Game Informer, and the only place I could find anything about this was on GameSpot. By doing like a shit ton of research and like following up, it died. But my point being is the people that were like editing and publishing, like the people that were just creating content in that magazine did so much research and work. And again, that was right around like the internet era. So I'm sure they were like cold calling developers and just putting in the hustle. And for them to all come back, like you just mentioned, does not surprise me. Like I just respect the hell out of them.
Yeah, I respect that entirely. And I love that they have their independence. They won't be influenced by, well, hopefully, you know, outside sources. Whether that's,
We
you know,
hope.
politics or game, like even game developers, right? Well, obviously there'll be a little influence if they're like, hey, we, you know, pay for a cover on our magazine. That's totally different. But I'm excited for it. You know, I might actually check out these new printed magazines if they come out. Because I think it kind of turns into almost like a relic, you know, in like a long, like I was saying, the Assassin's Creed one that I have. It's so old and so full of this like ancient knowledge, dude. It's like an old text that I think these will eventually become that. It's like the Pokemon cards. Maybe not as crazy, but I think it'll be enjoyable to see it again.
It's an Elder Scroll, bro. That's what you're telling
An
me.
Elder Scroll. That's a good one. Other than that, I think we've hit on most of the major topics that's happened in the last few weeks, or at least this last week. Unless there was anything else you wanted to bring up.
No, nothing else. I mean, maybe I haven't been looking the last 2 days. The question I would have for you, has anything else come to surface about Oblivion for next month? Anything that you've heard that we haven't already covered?
No, I think it's pretty low key right now, other than those first leaks we got.
Okay. Well,
I'm trying to think. I feel like there was something. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I think it's happening in April, and then it's going to be released. It could not, you know. I mean, no one really knows, but I'm seeing a lot of support for Sky Oblivion, and I'm totally on board for that as well. I just wanted to throw that out there too. I think Sky Oblivion is going to be amazing, and it should get just as much love as hopefully this remake gets. I have faith in the remake, but I could be burned by it.
I agree. Alongside, it's kind of like the whole Fallout TV. I'm very surprised by the amount of people hating on the TV show, just like I'm surprised about the amount of people that are pessimistic about Bethesda dropping a remaster. To me, there's enough room in this world for both to win and to both execute well. So I hope they do.
Right. And another thing is like the studio that's remaking the game, they're the ones doing Metal Gear Solid right now, the Snake Eater one. I don't know if you've seen that. And it looks really good, but from everything I've read, the gameplay is almost exactly the same. So it looks great. It's just the same game. But they also did the GTA remakes that like went to phones and stuff, and those were horrendous. Like everyone hated those. So it's kind of a toss-up. Like maybe they'll do an excellent job. Maybe it'll be a terrible port.
It's a coin toss. It is.
Yeah, and it's hard to lay it on Bethesda, but I still feel like there will be blame to them in the sense that this is their IP and they control it. But I have no doubt that Todd is overlooking it probably insanely. I mean, this whole time he said, you know, he didn't even want to do remakes. He said that his whole career from everything I've watched. So this is, if this happens, it's a brand new thing.
Yes. And it's indicative of Fallout 3, so I'm really rooting for them to do well. because
I am
Fallout
too.
3 would also be sick to see a rework done.
Yes. Well, I get to remake all our videos, Paris, for Fallout. I'm just kidding. We'll make new videos and they'll look better, I guess. But I'm excited for it. So yeah, I guess that's all we got for you guys. Say goodbye, Paris.
Yep. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. And remember, guys, enjoyed time is never wasted time. And we'll see you in the next.